And it was every bit of a fashion explosion here at Eunice Junior High School. And here to swear them into office today, we have a very dynamic public figure. He's known as a mover and a shaker. He improves as he moves. He is well known statewide. His name is a household word. Let's welcome our mayor, Mayor Curtis. Who, students? Joubert! A little louder. Joubert! I can't hear you. Joubert! Mayor of the Plantation capital of the world. Also with us today, we have Louisiana Public Broadcasting from the state of Louisiana. Let's give them a big hand.
Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? First of all, thank you very much, Ms. Sheila, for that nice introduction. And to the distinguished members of the faculty and all you future Bobcatters, I bring to you the wishes from everyone from Eunice to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's my pleasure to be here today to swear in your new Student Council officers. When I sit here and watch the enthusiasm and all the beautiful girls and all the beautiful teachers that we have here in Eunice, I think that Eunice has indeed a great future. Briefly about your hometown, let me just tell you a few things about your hometown. We are the biggest small city in the United States of America. Next to the city of New Orleans, your hometown has been on more national television stations than any other city in the state of Louisiana. And all good, nothing bad. You have not only been on every national television and radio network, your hometown has been featured on Channel 4 television in England and Scotland. You have also been featured your hometown has also been featured on a network in Hong Kong in China. Now, we're not talking about L'Hotel, we're talking about China. So you have a lot to be proud of. Which leads me, all right, all you hams, which leads me to the next topic. I think in Eunice, Louisiana, we have the finest public school system in the state of Louisiana. We have great teachers, great parents who are willing to pay for great schools and great physical facilities, and all of you should thank daily the great faculty members and your parents for making such a great educational opportunity available to you. Where's our distinguished members of the Student Council? Would you all stand up, please? All right.
Face the podium. Face this way.
You just raise your hand with me and just repeat. We'll say a little oath, okay?
What's your name?
Danielle Joubert. Well, isn't that a coincidence? Now, let me just congratulate you from all of us at the City Hall. I'm really proud to be here today and to tell you that
I know some of you I don't know, but we're extremely proud of all the good things that y'all do here at this school. And while you may not realize, all of us are keenly aware of the good things that y'all are doing. So if you just, why don't I swear you in, okay? If you repeat after me. If I'll say I, and then you repeat your name, and then I'll do something. And let's raise our right hand. I, and say your name, do solemnly swear to do the best job that I can for my students who elected me and for my school and to represent my hometown and family to the best of my ability. And so help me God. Well, thank you very much. Again, Mr. Alfred, members of the faculty, Ms. Sheila, Mr. Councilman Johnny Anderson, and all you students.
Parler un petit français?
Sure.
Viens voir, on va parler un petit peu de français.
C'est des Cadiens?
Non, ça ne comprend pas, mais bon, les autres, on va parler ce matin.
Comment ça va?
Comment ça va, Buck?
Ça va,
Ça va bien?
Ça va,
Comment les affaires ce matin?
Ça est magnifique.
Ça va bien? Vous êtes pédécoursé?
Ouais, on a pas essayé.
Essayez de les trouver. Ça chauffe, Burke?
Ça chauffe.
Il y a un qui a déménagé, signor. On a été dans
Ouais.
le point de la ramasser. Il était gros.
Ouais.
On a le Texas.
Il va revenir. Hein? T'appelles désespéré?
Oui, je crois pas. Il va.
Alors, entrez.
Thank you, sir.
Comment ça va, qui? Alors, entrez.
You know, and I asked her last night to talk
Well,
to you. You know,
what she did,
She's got to write the. She's got to make out a check and you've got to sign
Yeah,
it.
well, I'll deal with that too. That was for the Jansen people?
Yeah. And then we got another one tonight.
That's
I'll
right.
be in here again tomorrow because
That's
they
right.
always send it.
That's right.
Okay.
Miss Moody, how you doing this morning? Everything all right? I went to school with her daughter. I saw her daughter prancing around.
She went to school with Janet there, judging the Christmas stores
Oh, I
at
see.
junior high.
I think the first thing that we heard about was a line that you told maybe the Conspic Unit folks about what you needed to do to be in politics.
Well,
You might or might not remember, but if you do, I wonder what is it that you should be able to do, and if you can't do, you shouldn't be.
well, in this area, first of all, of course, you have all the other attributes that politicians have throughout the country, naturally, a willingness to serve and what have you. But to be able to be successful in this particular area, there's 2 or 3 things I think people should be doing. One of them is to be able to make a gravy of this caliber, because so much of our activities in South Louisiana, and particularly in the Eunice area, revolves around our food and speak French. We have a lot of people here who are bilingual, and I think the ability to speak French is certainly a great plus on the campaign trail, because if you make a good gravy and a good supper and you invite all your friends, maybe 50 or 100 people, and you can converse with them not only in English but French, I think automatically you have a tie, and these people can relate to you and say, hey, ça c'est un de nous autres, he's one of us. So right away the guards are down, and hopefully you can convince them then, because you have an opponent who can do the same thing. But it adds a little flavor to the mystique of Cajun country and particularly politics around here.
How is politics?
They're all very hotly contested, and I think we've all inherited that from, I guess.
When
Sure.
I ask you something, can you repeat the question? Because my questions
Oh.
won't be in the answers. So.
Want me to keep stirring though? Is that all right?
Yeah, no, you don't. It sounds a little odd.
Okay. Yeah.
What makes South Louisiana politics distinctive?
Well, South Louisiana politics is distinctive because I believe they're all so hotly contested. I think we've inherited that from our ancestors. People love politics here. I think it goes back historically as a gathering place. People could get together, the whole family would come, people would cook, and you'd sit under the trees and you would get in big arguments among the family, and I think that's probably what started. Now, running unopposed in South Louisiana is virtually unknown, because people live for the day to run for office, and what's so distinctive here is the manner in your higher positions in other parts of the states. People have a tendency to hire catering services to service their meals. Here in the country, what we do, if you can't cook, it's very difficult for you to run for office, because so much of it revolves around a very good gravy and the ability to speak French and being able to identify as one of the people. And if you can't speak French and can't cook, and you run against a Cajun who can speak French and cook, I would say you better hold on to your hat, because you're going to have some problems. My own belief. Hello.
Hello.
Comment ça va?
C'est bon?
Ça va bien, Monsieur Ward?
That's right. How
Nos
y'all
amis
doing?
là.
There in North Louisiana?
I think North Louisiana, while it might be hotly contested, I don't think they have the total dedication and such a constant 365-day type of campaign. Here in South Louisiana, for some reason, if you're in politics, it's almost a constant campaign, and all of the times you have to attend every function imaginable. I notice in other parts of the state sometimes you'll have an election with no yard signs. You hardly see any visible signs of any campaign. And then of course out of state is terrible if you compare it with us. But here, everybody knows when there's an election. Everybody puts a yard sign, they put their bumper stickers on, and then they pick a side and let's go.
What do you see?
It's unique.
Out of state, it's terrible. What do you mean?
I mean terrible in the fact that I've heard and I've read where they'll have governor's elections and hardly any campaigning taking place at all. I guess they may be more sophisticated and rely more on the media. Here in Louisiana, we haven't reached that stage of sophistication. If you run for public office in Louisiana, particularly South Louisiana, you better be prepared to shake hands. You better be prepared to hand out cards. You better be prepared to attend many, many functions, many suppers, many gatherings, and listen to music. And you really have to participate. You can't just rely on the news media.
So this is where the old-style politics in Louisiana is surviving, then?
That is absolutely right. In this rural area here, I've been in politics for some time. This is a small rural area. Just about everybody knows my name. And yet, come election time, I'll probably have to walk house to house and ask all the people to vote for me again. And I'll be on radio in French and English. I'll be attending all the functions that I can, and probably if I don't do that, people will say, well, I think Mr. Joubert is getting to be a big shot. Let's vote against him. So that it makes it very, very personal.
What would you say is the difference between the folks around here and the folks in northern Louisiana?
Well, I guess we all kind of alike, but I think probably our lifestyle creates a lot of different. Well, let me start again. Yeah. Well, in New Orleans, if you go to Baton Rouge, you're in the country. We're going to the country for the weekend. And where you go? I'm going to watch LSU play Notre Dame and Tiger State.
All right. Question?
So what were you saying, you know, the difference between your folks down here and folks in Northern Louisiana?
The difference between South Louisiana politics and North Louisiana politics, I think, is probably the tremendous amount of social activities that's tied into our politics here in South Louisiana. In North Louisiana, I don't think they have as many gathering spots where people go to suppers or dances and things of this nature. And of course, this is because of the joie de vivre of the Cajuns and the lifestyle here. Anytime you want to do anything, the first thing you do is put out the proverbial black pot like I'm doing right now. And you stir in the pot and maybe hire a Cajun band, and you get 50, 60 people together, and you have a big political rally. I think the people in North Louisiana probably use a different approach. They might just go more in the news media than we do here. And I think this is because of our historical differences that we have because of the cultural between the Cajuns and the people who migrated up north.
What would, if somebody's never been to Louisiana, and you had to add like 1 or 2 sentences to explain those cultural differences, what's the difference between South Louisiana and North?
If I had to tell a stranger the difference between South and North Louisiana, I would tell them that if they wanted a nice, quiet place to live, then they should go to North Louisiana. If they want to become an instant part of a community where they will be welcomed, warmly welcomed, and become part of the social structure of a community, then I would say come to South Louisiana, because the people in South Louisiana, once they take people in, you instantly become one of them. And I think it's the joie de vivre, the lifestyle that we have on a daily level, it makes the difference.
How did you get into politics? How did you become mayor?
Well, I got into politics because probably I'm one of the products of our lifestyle. I grew up in a small rural area, and my father and my family were involved on a very local level in politics, supporting people back in the Huey Long, Earl K. Long, Sam Jones days. And I grew up, and I like to think I'm a competitor, and I've always voted, and I believe I strongly believe that everybody should vote and take part in government. And when I got out of, I used to coach, and I was a principal in the school, and I was always competing. And when I got out and started living kind of a golfing quite type of life, something was urged me to say, hey, I'm still young enough to get into politics, and thus I got in it. And I was elected to the Louisiana legislature, and I fell in love with the art of government, which is Louisiana politics. And since that time, I've been fairly successful in politics, and I was elected by the people of Eunice to become mayor in 1981, and I'll be running for re-election come 1990, and hopefully I can serve another 4-year term. I love it. I love to go out and meet the people, and I'm just involved in a lot of different activities, and I just hope that I can do some of the things that I'd like to do, which is to add dignity to the way of life in South Louisiana, to change our national image, to change the national image of Cajuns, to show that we are God-fearing, hard-working people who go to church, people who can have a good time with Coca-Colas and popcorn. We don't have to be portrayed as barefooted in the swamps or ignorant. And I'm dedicating the rest of my life to doing that.
Back in the older days when you were coming up, do you remember when people like a Huey Long or Earl Long perhaps more, or Sam Jones, or what the campaigns were like when they came into town, what happened?
I remember the Earl Long days. Huey Long, I was just a little before my time. But I remember it was something. You had sound trucks going all over town and say, come to the courthouse and City Hall, and Mr. Earl Long is coming and his lieutenant governor, and this would go on, and it was almost like saying, hey, it's like a movie premiere today. Here, there's very few people had the radios, we had no television, and we said, hey, man, the governor's coming to campaign in our town, and let's go out and they'd start cooking. It was dangerous to be a chicken in those days, because if you were, they'd probably barbecue you for that day. And it goes back to what we said earlier. It was truly an event. And I remember they'd proceed to really hammer out on each other. That used to fascinate me, how they could always be so critical of each other, and yet the next day you might see them in another place and they'd be together. And I've always been kind of fascinated by that part of but it was truly an event.
Do people take sides? I mean, politically, like in your family when you were little, do you remember like political discussions and one person taking one argument, one person taking the other?
Of course, and I think that's what makes politics so hotly contested in South Louisiana, because yes, there is division in families. And yes, there are debates. I've known some families who almost are enemies because of just a political race. I'm talking about even at the lowest level. We're not talking about deep philosophical discussions on the presidential or senatorial, but right, who's going to be the constable, who's going to be the police jury. And I've known people who actually quit talking to each other for years because they dared to be against each other. And that adds a lot of spice.
Do you remember that in your family? Not so much a division, but just a lot of discussion about
Of course. In the afternoons when I was just a young boy, I remember people sitting on the front of the little country store, and it would always end up, and we wasn't talking then about LSU football or the Saints or Betty Grable or whoever. It was who was the governor and so was doing this, and they were going to, when were they going to hard surface these gravel roads and take care of the drainage problem. And Huey Long was a good man because he fought the big companies, and kind of like a Robin Hood. So I remember that very well, and it was a fascinating thing for a young boy to listen to all that. And the sheriff used to be the white earps of the day. You know, who was the sheriff? That was the biggest discussion that we had in the family, and that was hotly contested at that time. Still kind of hot in South Louisiana.
You told me at the office that politics has changed a little bit, that you wish you could be mayor in a different time. Could you tell us what you wish and why?
Well, naturally, I would like to be serving at a different time, simply because of the economical conditions that we face with in government at this time. The 80s have been a disastrous time for our state of Louisiana, and certainly on the local level, we are not exempted. And certainly, this has been very, very difficult because everybody wants to do things for his people. You would like to have various types of capital projects. You would like to be able to move things in a different direction. So much of it is dependent on money. And certainly the loss of revenue sharing, all depletion, has made it very difficult. On the other hand, the ability to live with one's budget, and the ability to keep your people motivated, to keep their emotional level high, it's not all bad. I think it's a real challenge, and I look back and we've managed to do a lot of great things. And while I wish we had all of the revenues we used to have, I think I've learned to, we have learned to live with a very tight fiscal budget, and I think this is probably good for the people. The people appreciate that.
That's fine. That's great.
Who are these guys here?
These guys, we got some attorney. This is a member of our police jury. This Mr. Red Bim, he's the one that gave us the deer meat. And the nippy, and this is our city attorney, Mr. Tate.
It's not steaks we have?
Yeah, we have steaks. And Mr. Duplichet, one of our prominent foremen here in town, and our housing authority director, Mr. McFarland.
There, how you doing?
Who's a Coca-Cola drinker. You see, that changes the image.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Moi, j'ai venu check 2 fois dessus.
Ah ouais?
Oui, j'ai
Tu vois,
tapé
j'avais
round,
dit
round.
la
Vous
porte
pouvez pas
là.
rentrer.
Peux pas rentrer, hein?
Non, la porte est barrée.
Well, I was trying to call cook the deer rolls by itself, you know, because I put a little wine in there and make it nice gravy.
Yeah.
But that's the one that I had the house locked and Bruce couldn't get to it to turn it off. So we have a little charred deer rolls. But red kills deer.
We didn't start yet.
Half the slaughterhouse belongs to me with the meat.
Somebody said he get some out of the nest.
Yeah, they go to Texas and they lock them up in there.
We're gonna kill plenty of deer yet.
Come on, brother. This race for governor coming up. Quanti cross.
Ça connaît pas, ça va être tough. Ça va être tough.
Tu crois Edwin va courir?
Oh, je connais, il va courir.
Courir.
Je suis sûr, il va courir.
Et Rome va courir.
Non, je crois pas.
Tu crois pas
Je
Rome?
n'ai pas de chance.
Can you imagine that?
Mais qui vous autres croit? Disez-moi la vérité.
On ne pas pour la première fois.
Moi non plus.
Red is
Pour Roma? Moi, je vois comme ça, c'est des chars. Blâme-moi pas, moi, je n'ai pas voté pour.
Don't blame me.
Don't blame me, I didn't vote for it.
C'est pas pour Roma du tout.
Edwards country, yeah.
Edwards country.
Ouais.
Why did y'all like Edwards? Were you all Edwards supporter one time or another?
Well, we knew him real good. You know, we were close to him.
Plus
We
the
think he
fact-
was a good
It
governor.
was just 20 miles down the road.
Down the road.
And plus the fact he's a Cajun. That's what we
Oh,
represent.
yeah,
Cajun.
that's right.
He has sort of a reputation outside of Louisiana as sort of a fast liver. That never bothered y'all?
Oh, no, indeed.
No.
We all live kind
We
of
all
fast.
When you start getting my age and Bruce's, you slow down though.
So we all on the fast track.
The motor moves fast, but
La machine goes bam bam.
Well, that's correct.
we were talking earlier about politics in this area, and I told him, I said, I thought that the thing that made politics in this area different from other places is here you have to politic 366 days a year. In other places, at least after they get elected, they can rest a while. But in South Louisiana,
You got to keep going.
you got to keep going. You got to keep eating and feeding. How much meat a year you give away from political gatherings?
We don't talk about that. Yeah.
Why do y'all think people are like talk politics so much? Why do y'all like to talk politics so much?
It's
Well-
a way of life.
I just love politics, that's it.
We just live and breathe
It's
politics.
like going hunting or
Like a
fishing.
race. Like races. Yeah.
Competition.
It's a challenge.
Competition, a challenge.
Not like a challenge.
We bet on it and we.
Don't talk like that.
It's like hunting and fishing.
That's right.
I guess the cast of characters is always changing since there's something new.
Always new.
Well, about September. Let them come here about September, all right? Well, you'll see something.
You see,
Well,
October the 6th.
I know, but
Yeah.
September
The,
is about a month before the election.
the-
Look out.
Look out there, it's dangerous.
So tell us what's it like that time of year? What happens? Before
But
you-
politics is gonna get really a touchy deal then. Get serious.
And how's it get serious? What happens?
Well, the people fights more for their side, for that people.
Suppers and whatnot, yeah.
We got more suppers and more talks and try to line up together and get your voters to the poll and trying to get votes people for yourself. Line up with the leaders.
you know your friends.
That's right.
Yeah. Try to learn
Try to get the flock back together. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
That's when you start making all them big promises again.
But you know, the mayor started with the Liberty. Y'all all know that. All of us know that. And everybody said, well, he ain't gonna make it. There's no way he can make it. They made fun of us. And I said, well, he's gonna try. But I knew he's gonna make it, you know, because people kept coming, a little more. And every Saturday, there's at least 600 or 700 people there, 500-600 people. Am I right or wrong? Close to that much. Sometimes
when it
you
first
got to
started,
turn them
though,
away. But it first started, there were just a few.
Just cut it off.
He's a go-getter. You know, he knows how to. They said it couldn't be done. Am I right? Y'all know that, brother. Everybody knows that. And I tell you what, about the mayor, when he gets after something, he gets after it.
Well, I guess that sometimes it gets a little too strong after, but he gets it.
Too strong.
He gets
We
it.
all get a little strong.
But he gets it done.
But it's fast.
When people are after you, sometimes you have to come out swinging.
That's right. There's no other way.
But it's I think Eunice is a good place. South Louisiana is a unique place because around starting next July when we qualify. We'll probably start off, you'd have a breakfast at somebody's house. You'll probably be eating rice dressing and pork chops for breakfast.
Right after daylight.
Then you'll have a noon meeting, and then somebody you'll eat dinner 2 or 3 times, then Jerome.
I've ate supper 5 times one night.
Oh, yeah.
It's always, no wonder we all have high cholesterol and high blood pressure and what have you.
Oh, Lord.
Well, he gave so many suppers, he opened up a slaughterhouse.
Get the meat and cold.
He sure did, right?
Get the meat and cold.
Red's on the police jury now. That's
Right, that's right.
that's a public body that doesn't have a penny to spend, and yet he's a glutton for punishment. He'll walk house to house and ask people to vote for him.
Of course, less qualified police jury. In this part of the country, believe me, it doesn't mean execution or anything. In the rest of the country, the other states, it's county commission. That's where it actually is. So if you say police jury, they say, what the hell is he talking about? That's really that means.
Why do you want to be on a police jury if you all don't have any money anymore?
Good question. Well, that's a very good question. Good question. First of all my life, I've loved to help people.
Yeah, that's a good
And
question.
that was just one way that I could help the people, also the city and the rural area. Of course, we were hoping that this is temporary, that no money situation.
It'll come up to one.
But I always tell them the way we do it in our district here in Eunice is by miracles and mirrors. So imagine what we could do if we had money. So hopefully one of these days we can get money.
It's not so much fun anymore without the money.
It's not as much fun, but still in all, it's there. You still want to help people. You want to get together.
Get involved?
Get involved.
I know that, part of politics everywhere in the world is that your constituents expect you to do things for them, right?
That's true.
But do they, what's it like around here? What sort of things they expect you to produce for them?
Well, they have been conditioned. They know that there's no money, so they're not as demanding as the prior, or, as the ones were. Now they know, they've realized. Fact is, we just passed that fire district tax. This was one of 2 that passed in the state of Louisiana, the whole state. And we had 1 renewal. So people are, they're real cooperative around here, real cooperative.
Why did you want to get in politics?
I've been in politics for 24 years. I just always enjoyed politics. Always have.
Y'all met some interesting people in the political world. Does it tend to attract interesting folks?
Bruce, t'as rejoint du monde intéressant?
Oh, beaucoup. Tellement.
Earl Long.
I was with Earl Long all my life. I was with Cat Doucette all my life. I lived here all my life. And I'm 27 years old.
Y'all would have got a good story if they'd have been here when Cat was here. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Cat and Earl also.
Oh.
To me, Earl was the greatest governor ever lived.
Oh, yeah.
In my book,
Bruce?
Well, some people don't like him. And they say a lot of bad things about him that isn't true, He likes the girls, but all men like girls. If you don't like girls, you're something else. Am I right or wrong? I traveled all over the state with Earl Long. I did, really did.
Remember that time you and I went to Mama?
That's correct. That's right.
That was in the 50s, you remember? No, early 50s. And he took that mic and he started hollering and screaming. He hit Bruce right on the chest with that mic. That night?
Oh, he was our friend, We could go to Baton Rouge then.
Oh yeah.
Right now, you gotta go see Bush before you get to Roma.
You just walk in and see her?
Oh yeah, anytime I wanted. That's correct.
Oh, you could do that with Edwards too, no?
Edward also.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
I never was turned down up there yet.
That's
right.
Edwards.
What kind of stuff when you went to see him?
No, never did. My friends didn't get in trouble.
Okay, so what kind of things? When you go to see a governor, I never heard anybody just walking in and talking to a governor.
You haven't?
No, not
Well, I traveled with him all over the state. His bodyguard, his chauffeur was a fellow by the name of Dakota. He's from Marksville. And I could get in that office anytime I wanted to. You know what I mean? When he wasn't busy. But sometimes I went for a road, or sometimes I went for something else. One time I went for my son's scholarship for my son, governor's scholarship. That's a pretty good deal. He gave my son, he's superintendent of schools in Evangeline Parish, he gave him a governor's scholarship. And we were very close. I was close to him. I'm not bragging when I'm saying that. And I loved him. I loved him a lot.
You were close to Bob Kennan too, huh?
Oh, Lord.
What does that mean? What does that mean? He wasn't nearly as colorful, was he?
He couldn't cross the Mississippi. That's how long get to the capital.
Well, right now, we used to go to the match. And you remember when we went? You remember, Red? You and I, we all went to the match. We went to
Well, I have
one
them
one
pictures.
time.
I got all them pictures at home. We could
They
have
wouldn't-
taken them and showed it to them.
I tell you right now, you couldn't get the garbage from them. That's right. If you was to go down and try to get the garbage, they wouldn't give you that.
Talking about my government now.
Well, it's the truth. It's the truth, Red. Now, when Earl was there, and when Earl was there, and when Edwards was there, yeah, I ain't never been turned down when I went in that match. I ain't never. I called over there. Not one time they ever turned me down for something. They said we're gonna try.
And also we had the mayor that one time.
That's right. Oh, yeah, he was with to take it over. Yeah, I got it. You
That was with McKinney.
That was with
No,
McKissick.
we went there one time with Edwards. You and I.
Oh
and
yeah,
Wilson
yeah,
and
but I mean, when
Yeah.
I was in there.
Red, Bruce, you and I.
Yeah, we took pictures. You
Yeah.
remember in the mansion, man?
That's right.
You was with us.
Yeah, you rode me.
But let's get back to Kennan. Y'all don't want to talk about how close y'all were to Kennan? And Governor Bob Kennan, I think.
In 52, you
That's why I keep calling kidding Mr. Broussard. I want him to tell us about how close he was to Kennan. But he used to come in and
Hello there. Rep, comment ça va? C'est magnifique.
stand by. They didn't talk about you. You lucky. They were talking. Some of them were saying some bad things about your governor.
No, but we didn't say nothing about Dale.
No, Dale was a good
really counts.
That's right. That's right.
You can't fight other people's battles. But Gruenberg, you were close to Gruenberg?
Oh my God.
One of the things we notice when we look down the governors, list of governors, and you get a guy like Earl Long who's real popular and real friendly, and then he can't succeed himself in the old days. And somebody comes in like Kennan, and after 4 years, people are tired of him. They want the colorful characters back. Did you ever notice that?
Well, they wouldn't be put Earl right back. After Kennan was governor 4 years, they come back with Earl again. She couldn't run but 4 years. You lay off 4 years, Earl come back again.
But you see, they'd run the fella. They wouldn't run a guy like Bill Dodd. They took fella like Morgan and fella. They knew they couldn't win. Earl knew that, and Earl would come back, but he couldn't succeed
You
himself.
think it was part of a master plan?
Oh, no doubt in my mind. That's
He
what
always wanted the weak man to follow him.
Good job. That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's right. There's no question about
It's
that.
like Edwin and Treen, same thing. Treen wanted to have another term.
Yeah.
It's really liberal and conservative
Yeah.
flip flop.
Only matter with Treen when Edwards beat him this last time. He didn't know where he was at. You go to the match and he thought he was at the Capitol. Or he was at the Capitol, he thought he was at the match. He didn't know where he was at. Well, that's the truth. He didn't know where he was at. Treen didn't know where he was at.
Hey, I sure hope we don't need anything from Baton Rouge.
How many times do you think that Nippy went to see Treen?
Not one time, man.
Well, how would he know where he was at?
It wasn't no use to go see him.
I'll have company around here tonight. I sure hope we don't need anything from Baton Rouge in the near future.
Politics gets kind of personal, at least in what we've read and what we've seen in some of the footage. I mean, what were the worst things you ever heard one candidate say about another candidate in public? Earl used to get kind of personal about candidates.
That's
What did they?
this
what
triple
did
X. This is triple X network.
No problem.
What's this
Need to
guy?
do is watch
These
the movie,
fella from Puggy Mochi. What did they say about?
Poogie Mochi.
Oh, yeah.
Puggy Mochi used to have some good things to say about various
Yeah, he
candidates.
used to call Edwin Chanel number 5.
Yeah.
Tweety boy.
Yeah.
Tweety Bird.
Tweety Bird.
But he quit calling him that when they locked him up.
Can't do that.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, ça méprisait. Tu connais ça? Pas un coup de...
Cat disait pas, lui.
Earl disait, McSween avait un bouche comme un catfish. Walk like a catfish. Catfish, McSween.
What did he say about Morrison? What did he say about Morrison?
Chet Morrison. He called him sweet sweating.
No, it's
sweet smelling. Della Chep, what?
He wears rouge and lipstick.
Lipstick. He said, I don't wear rouge and lipstick. He said, I dress just like this. And I'm old Earl.
And he wears $400 suits. Remember that?
Yeah.
They look like a
That was
rooster
when
in the
television
barnyard with
first-
stockings. They just put one like that on him.
Oh man.
We'd
I
go to a
tell you.
political rally when Earl was having one, and Bruce and I and VL, and he'd put me over there. He'd put Bruce over there, and he said, now when I say something, y'all start hollering, y'all get the crowd.
I wasn't gonna say that. Bruce, tell him about those.
He was ahead of his time.
Those campaign contributions that the guy would lead off with.
I didn't give the check.
Yeah.
Give it back.
That happened.
WJ time.
WJ.
Huh? I didn't do that.
Some put up $5,000.
I put up
Some
five.
put up $5.
Put it in
But
the
a
hat.
check, and them other guys didn't come, you know.
That was
Didn't one of them do that with Nippy?
Well, I tell you how
On the
they
local
used to
level?
do that.
See, listen. It was
They'd have a pickup, see?
It's all right. You
It
don't
would be a
mind me
pickup,
telling you?
and people doing it. Well, when they'd act smart, the first man that started off, he said, I'll put up 500, but he's already done made it with the guy that's gonna get the money to get his back. So he could, it was just a con game, see?
This guy right here and I went to courthouse, and the sheriff met us by the coffee shop there. He said, listen, he said, I'm going to tell you I need $35. Come in the office, so I'm going to give it to you. Give me the 35. He said, Bruce, I got a swallow running for mayor there in Washington. He said, I need 35. Give me 35. I gave him 35. He was squirming, you know. He said, what about you? You ain't gonna give me 35. Well, we got close to Lordtown. Son of a bitch, he said, you and Cat put it to me. I said, what happened? He said, he gave you that 35. Then he said, I put up mine.
But he done a lot for
We
me,
did
though.
think, oh, he done a lot for me too. He was our friend.
Adler was good, too.
Yeah.
This guy's not a bad fella either.
We heard a great story yesterday from a guy who's a trooper at the Capitol, the Senate. They said Senator Jumonville, Sr. I don't know what district he's from.
He's the same one. Point Coupé.
Okay, and one day they were having session, and the session had to end. That kind of thing.
There's a lot of colorful stories about Jumonville.
That was the old man he's talking about.
Yeah, the old man. Yeah.
He's dead now.
But it's just funny because outside of Louisiana, this kind of behavior in the political world
Here
get a
comes
lot
the
of,
politician.
put a lot of guys in jail. But that doesn't happen here.
No, you're right.
We have a lot of fun here. It's mostly fun, you know. We get a kick out of it, like Red. First time you run for councilman, you got elected.
Kind of like the wrestling matches.
And
They all
Dale
try to kill
City,
each
his
other,
son.
and then everybody goes drink and eat together.
Dale win by 12 votes first time.
14. Bruce.
14.
Give me all
They
those.
called him Landslide City.
I knew it was close. This is our representative. And then the second time was also close, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh, it was 10 times worse, Bruce. 140 the next time.
Landslide Sadiq.
That's what they called him.
I run
But the
four-
last time you really worked him
I
over.
run 4 races and I'd only been there a year.
You learned a lot about yourself in a hurry, huh?
I learned how to campaign. I didn't learn much about government that first year, but I learned a lot about campaigning.
I guess the most colorful man you got in Louisiana now is 060, huh?
Probably so. Yeah. 60 tells
He was a
pretty
man
good
with Earl
stories
Hall,
up there too.
remember, way up in the 40s.
Yeah.
But one good thing about this part of the country, if you want to know what your pedigree is, you run for something. Because if you killed a rabbit illegally when you were 2 years old, they'll tell you about it. So if you want to know what your pedigree is, you run for a public office.
I think they'd bring it up. Huh? Get registered.
Well, is it changing? I mean, are those guys like 60 and old man Jumonville, that there's no new generation as colorful? Or they? No, that's the story.
Well, we still have a lot of colorful politicians in our particular area.
Yes, probably not quite as wild because, you know, the news media, I have to credit the news media with doing a lot to lead the reforms and everything. Normally things you could get away with, you were doing it on the stump. That's where most of these stories come from, something right on the stump. Speaking, you can say pretty much anything you want from the back of a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
I did one time and got quoted, so after that I quit saying it. But so people show a little bit more restraint on things. But I guess some people are just as colorful. It's just you don't have to do the same things to be considered colorful.
Would you say that everybody around here pretty much knows all the elected officials? who they are? Some of them know them personally?
I would say probably, despite our lack of educational attainment on the national level, that probably our people know more who their elected people are than anybody in the country, because they take part in politics. As I've said many times, it's a way of life in South Louisiana. People grow up and listening to the mystique of politics, and they can't wait to start voting. Once they start voting, they can't wait maybe to support someone. And then, of course, a lot of us run for office. But around here, you don't have to run for office to be a politician. You support people, and your supporters are just as much involved in politics, men and women. Women get involved in politics here too.
So all your lives, most of you have known who your elected officials were, you came in contact with them. How would you explain it in places where we came from? Most people don't even know who their elected officials are by name, let alone know them personally.
First, I'd have to question the news media in an area like that, really, as to why they don't, or they're not that interested in it to where they don't even care to read, who the elected officials are. Because you have an election over here, no matter what kind of election. You talk to 10 people, and 9 and a half will tell you who was elected the day before. So.
And most of our local politicians too run a door-to-door campaign too when they're
That's the main thing.
You have to,
elected officials, they'll go door to door
and you have those suppers, and you invite the whole neighborhood. As I said, it's not only a political rally; it's a social.
Politicians here are closer to the public.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Everybody knows.
They're more in contact with everything. That has a lot to do with it.
There also seem to be a lot more elected positions here. I mean, we were at the Rice Festival last year, 2 years ago, and they had, Commissioner of Insurance, Commissioner of Elections, all the state guys come around. Other states don't even bother with it.
Right.
A lot of those positions.
But we were talking earlier, you go in some states, and this is hard for us to even believe this or read about it. You don't even know there's a governor's race. Every once in a while you might see a billboard. But here you have, right now it's Edwards in 99, Rome in 101. I mean, it's, and yard signs and bumper stickers and pick your side, I'm for this one, and everybody knows someone.
One of the big reasons is that the Louisiana government has always been very actively engaged in benefits to people, more so than other states. Since the long days, you had a lot of government involvement in schools and welfare and charity hospitals, and so the people with little education had to go to someone to be directed to where to go to get the benefits and the needs that they had. So like your representative.
And our fees are a lot cheaper than the attorneys.
That's right. They couldn't afford attorneys.
And they learn that quick.
So we have a battle with politicians. They take it all our clients.
You're talking
we starting to think we lawyers.
You're talking about welfare. When Earl Long became governor in 1956, I believe it was, he promised every man and woman over 65 years old, he said, 30 days, when I go in that mansion, you're going to get a $50 check. My mother and father was living then. My mother died in my home about 10 years ago. She got a $50, she never was on the welfare. She got that $50 till she died. And the old age pension. Earl gave that. Earl's the only governor gave that. Correct. It wasn't welfare in them days. That's what it was. And the Longs gave it to you. And that's what I believe in the Longs. I really did. My father was a share the wealth deal. He was one of, and he couldn't read and write. I thought Huey was great too. Some people thought he was a.
Oh yeah.
That's right. It all depends what you like, isn't that right?
Do you think there's still a long tradition here?
Oh, certainly. There's some like, I don't know if a long will ever run. I really don't know.
With that attitude,
But yes, correct. That's
Taking
right.
care of people.
Well, yeah.
Populace, yeah.
That's right.
populist. He's a populist.
Of course, it's a lot easier to be a populist when there's a lot of money in the state.
That's right. The most difficult time
Remember
in
when Earl
politics
was
was to have
governor,
to say
there
no
wasn't
all the
money.
time.
Actually, when the populists came into power, it was during the Depression. It wasn't in the
That's
period.
right.
So what you said is correct. It's it was a division of the wealth.
I don't really know how he operated, but to me, he was a king, you know. I worked with him and I stayed with him. He didn't pay me. I worked for the state afterwards, but at that time, he never promised me nothing. I got one governor that promised me something once. I got the figure.
Had to take a test.
Well, yeah, I was a game warden. I was a game warden on the law.
How many arrests you made when you were a game warden?
Man, I didn't bother nobody.
Is that meat slice?
No slice.
Go slice.
When that supervisor from Bill Flag Company told you, he said, we got to go, we're getting a report of people shooting ducks at night.
Yeah, no, I was going somewhere with my wife and I was dressed. He said, we got to go to special assignment. He said, they're hunting rabbits at night. His name was Ventrella. He was out of Point Coupee Parish. He was a captain. I said, I'm not going tonight. He said, you're not going? He said, you ain't got no more job. I'm not going to tell you, I can't say what I said, I don't care. I said, I don't need that job. He said, I'm going to report you to Captain Book. He was head of the wildlife in fishery in New Orleans. I said, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to go and see the man that gave you and Book your job. And I went. And you know what he told me? He said, I'm going to
He said, the way he
He
talked.
said, listen, Brother Broussard, he said, this is the way he spoke. He said, I'm going to transfer you in Lafayette Parish. They'll never know a damn thing about you. You're going to get the job. In 2 months, I'm going to give you a seafood inspector job. You're going to be open. And he gave it to me. Gave it to me. That's the reason I loved him and I liked him.
I don't blame you for loving him.
It's facts. And I was poor.
Oh, well, we had good fun on that fish boat down there.
We sure did.
Did you sell the state any fish?
Huh?
Did you sell the state any fish?
No, it's about the only thing I didn't do.
They didn't have codes of ethics, and those days I go to hell with it.
You can do anything you want in those days, I reckon.
Well, Red,
How about
allez manger. Red,
also,
Red gave us some deer roast, and Jerome gave
Don't talk about the pavilion?
Oh no, but we
you
talked about.
oh, you
all
did
of
that.
it, yeah.
Well, I want to know what miracle got Nippy to go in the house and stop talking.
Checking the meat.
Somebody said something out of line.
Yeah. Man, did you?
Oh, you got afraid there.
You got that fan?
Maybe when I said something about Trina or something.
Yeah, he turned
Oh,
off.
you shouldn't have mentioned that about when you
I
said
just wanted to know how many trips he had made to see Trina.
you wouldn't go at all.
You say Republican, that's enough.
Yeah.
Do the governors still come through here when they're campaigning? Even today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they come?
This is a pretty, it's an active little town here. I think McKithen kicked off his campaign here in Eunice. Ed was kicked off his
Sure
campaign
did.
here in Eunice. And all the others come to Eunice quite a bit. This is a pretty active town. It used to be a town noted too for generous donations. And
That's why they kicked it off here.
that helps.
Everybody votes here. I mean, you know, like you get a really high turnout. Like say in a governor's election or.
Well, we run it. We coming up for election, city election plus our senatorial, United States Senate and Congressman. I would imagine we'll get close to 90% of the people out to vote. I would say. I think when you have this particular type of race, and that, like Mr. Moore said, where we really try to get your people out to vote, we'll be up there. Of course, just like any other part of the state, a lot of times, unfortunately, we pass bond issues with 15-20% of the votes, or get them defeated by 15. People show very low interest in certain elections. But come a hot campaign, they'll go vote.
There's always an election around here for something. Right?
You don't talk.
Well, under the new constitution now, you can only have, that's just two major, every other year you have a major statewide thing. But then they give you 3 or 4 days during the year for millages. So it wouldn't tie up a community for 2 years, should you, like our fire district, where you can call it on certain days. But it used to be where we would have an election, I agree with you, just about every month. But the legislature changed that, and it's helped out. Like, come next year, 1990, you will have all of your all of your local officials being elected, school board members, United States Senator. Of course, your congressman runs every 2 years. Then 2 years hence, you will have the governor and all your state officials plus your parish officials, which makes it, it's going to change this congressional business is going to be a little bit, you know, a member of Congress used to be elected with about sometimes 30% of the vote. Those days will be gone. Now he's going to have to run at the same time as every mayor and city councilman in these areas. And what's going to happen now, he's going to be voted on by about 90% in particular little towns. It used to be he'd run himself and maybe one little off-year election, and maybe 25% of the people would go vote. So they're going to go from about 25, 30% Congress. Now you're going to have 80 to 90% of people.